Good morning, my name is Zbigniew Cyganowski. I'm the representatives of SCD Probiotics in our southern neighbor in the Czech Republic. My first encounter with the microorganisms was quite interesting. We didn't really know much about microorganisms. I studied chemistry, but this was like a big clash. Everything was so much different than I learned in the past. We started thinking, what can we do? How do we approach that? What do we begin with? And automatically, a logical conclusion was that the easiest thing would be to use the solution that was used in the Czech Republic and try to apply the same here. I think they did something fantastic. Such results over such a short time. And of course, we went in the same direction. And after some time, it turned out that we are not making much progress, that we are actually came to a standstill. And what do we do? Why did it happen? Let me explain. For us, information about microorganism was agriculture, maybe wastewater treatment. We tried to head towards agriculture, and we didn't know what to do next. We wondered, who do we talk to? Who do we turn to? What do we do? Should we talk to the farmers, the farms, the government, regional authorities? Who do we talk to? And after a very short time, it turned out that unfortunately it took us almost a year, and in Czech, there was no point in talking to the farmers. Why? The number of people employed in agriculture was about 460,000 about 20 years ago. Now it's about 30,000 farmers. Really, farming is diminishing in the Czech Republic. It's sad but true. So at one occasion, we had to undergo the certification process, and when we certified our products, we came to the simple question, what do you want to certify? And I said, these are microbiological processes stabilizers and preparations for optimizing ecological systems. And then I started thinking, what do I do now with the microorganisms? And I had the thought, it's not just wastewater treatment, not just agriculture, but microorganisms are everywhere around us. They are also in the cities, everywhere. And we started to go in a slightly different direction then. We were wondering which way to choose. When we decide to head for the cities, what can we do in the city? Of course, this is wastewater treatment plants. It's rehabilitation of the green areas. It's a bit specific, a bit different than fields, meadows, and forests. It's also water reservoirs at different sizes. This is also hygiene in the playgrounds, conference centers, shopping centers, etc. The form of our work with probiotic microorganisms in wastewater treatment plants, this is something we already know. But we started to deal with something slightly different. We considered that solving the problems in the wastewater treatment plants, this is only one part of the aspect, and we want to solve the problem at the very beginning, at our own households, at our own homes, where we generate the waste. The problem starts in the sewage systems. And we had an interesting conclusion then. We concluded that we need to talk to completely different people, not to the wastewater treatment plant, but to the municipality. And we need to convince the municipality that we can lower the cost even more than if we introduce those microorganisms in the wastewater treatment plants. If we use them right at the very beginning, we can have vast benefits. We can clean the sewer system, and less load would then reach the wastewater treatment plant. And our calculations also brought quite interesting result, that we need to apply more probiotic products. From our point of view, it's good because we can sell more products, but the cost of application for the city would be divided between the citizens, between the municipal companies which own the sewer systems, the municipality, and the citizens. So everybody will pay a little, but the total amount will be greater and the total number of microorganisms will be higher. This is a diagram of the sewer system. We developed that for several cities. Now we are working for one in Prague. We also placed an offer for Zagreb in Croatia. So what do we do to purify the whole sewer system? Sewage and wastewater, which is transported in the system, this is one problem, but another problem is landfills. And a traditional solution would be to put containers with probiotics in the landfills, but it doesn't really solve the problem because the application is improper. The whole landfill is not the whole landfill problem is not solved because sometimes the employees spray the landfill with probiotics, sometimes they don't. And we found out that a good solution would be treating the waste already at the beginning, when the waste is collected, when it's mixed, and then subsequently landfilled. This would be the best solution, because already we would have probiotics all at the beginning with the waste before it comes to the landfill, and it would penetrate better in the waste volume. The city is also green areas, parks, lawns, etc. And when we compare these green areas in the city against meadows or forests, we find it's a bit different. There is a huge load to the parks of toxic substances, car exhaust fumes, lots of oils, exhaust gases from the cars. And now we already have certificates confirming that our preparations can decompose oil products very fast. We can do it by 60% within 28 days. We already have certificates confirming that probiotic preparations can decompose about 50% of pesticides. We are talking here about DDT, which is a huge load for the plants. We can also reduce it by half within this short period of time. And also a very interesting application to the lawns, to the flower beds, to the parks. Parks are often connected with, parks often include some water reservoirs, because in the city we often are hoping for the rain to water the plants, and probiotics can help us with water retention in the soil. And they also make the plants more resilient. Their immunological system is at a higher level, so we need to care less for the green areas, for the plants. This is why it's quite successful in the parks. And we also tried to solve the problems with water purifications in municipal environments. The effects were also quite interesting. Swimming pools, on the one hand, quite a big one here, several hundred square meters on the outskirts of Prague. And we put a little probiotics here in the water, and the water came completely green after several days. We really scared the owner. He asked, "What did you do with my swimming pool? It never looked so bad." But after 10 or 12 days, it all went away, and the water was crystal clear. To improve this effect, in this restaurant in front, And also in single-family houses, we started installing filters using EM. It's just enough to use one bag of ceramics with EM, and the water structure changes. The water, which used to be so hard in Prague and generally in the Czech Republic, we know that when water is hard, when we have chrome on the water taps, then you have this gray stains. But this goes away when you apply these probiotics, because before and after the chemical compound of water is completely the same, but we just get rid of this effect of staining the application. Also in the kettle, when you boil water for tea, you don't see this white ring inside the kettle, and the clients are really very happy about that. And also an important moment, an important project which finished 2 weeks ago was application in this peaceful neighborhood in Brno. It's about 4,000 square meters. It was complete. Last year it was very dirty, very smelly. It was really terrible. The people who sat at those benches, they couldn't spend more than 5 minutes there. So they asked us if we could solve the problem. In the first photo here, you can see what the water looked like at the beginning of May, already turning green. And we thought the effect would be as terrible as last year. The first step was to prepare not bokashi, but to prepare zeolite, which was then treated with just a regular EM original. We put 300 grams per square meter to the bottom of this pond. And after several weeks, we also started pouring EMs directly into the water from the bank. The first condition which we put to the owners was to switch off the ultraviolet lamps which were installed there to kill the microorganisms in there, because they had those devices to oxygenate water, to make it live, to start up some processes, and all the devices were turned off. And at the beginning of June, when we started to put the last portion of EMs in the water, after paying our invoice for the service, the manager of this neighborhood already saved about 70,000 Czech crowns, which translates into about $3,000 in mid-season. So I'm sure this cost-saving effect will be much better at the end of the season, because we already signed a contract to do the same service annually at the end of spring. An interesting solution is also what we do at the school in the neighborhood where we live. Beautiful building, which was rebuilt after some floodings in the past. And with the principal of this school, we made this agreement that we are going to introduce probiotics for cleaning the staircases, for cleaning the classrooms, for cleaning the schools. We just did it for free as a community service. We wanted to show this is possible. And the purpose of this application is to reduce disease transmissions like flu, angina, etc. It's hard to say what the exact result is. Everybody seems happy so far. We think that the prevalence of the disease should be decreased, to talk about that. But a problem was with a hygienist, because they have their norms and they have a pattern to calculate the number of microorganisms per square meter. And this is a problem, because very often the hygiene consultants point out to the number of these, but we tell them that disinfection is not the point. The point is having healthy, beneficial microorganisms in there. I think it's going to be a very long fight with those attitudes, with those points of view, which try to fight against those new applications. One more application which we haven't done so far, but we are already negotiating with the municipality. This is application in the subway system, the tram system, public buses, shopping centers, office centers. They are facing the same problem. Disease transmission on some rails, handguards, by touch, by contact. And we are going to face the same problem I mentioned before, the total number of microorganisms per square meter or square centimeter. Very often we have to fight a long battle, but the toughest battle is against the red tape, against bureaucracy, against the very slow work of certain offices. We had to wait for a long, long time for the certificates, which were already obtained in Poland. In the Czech Republic, we had to wait for about 9 months. Despite this European regulation that the certificates should be recognized internationally, we had to wait for a very long time to get our certificates. I have a feeling this is the right direction to go, because those reactions from municipalities are completely different than farmers' reactions, and not to mention there are hardly any farmers in the Czech Republic. One of the more interesting projects is the campaign we have already launched. We started in 3 villages next to the water dam Orlik. This number is now increasing, reaching 25 to 30 villages, which are applying our preparation to solve the problems caused by the water dam, which is full of algae, which is full of phosphorus. They are facing about 140 tons of phosphorus in this water dam area. And those local communities are starting to believe us that we can really fight the cause, not the final consequence of the problem. We were also certified to use our preparations on Żelivka water dam. This is a water reservoir which stores drinking water for Prague. You are not allowed to do anything. You are not allowed to transport, not allowed to use diggers to remove mud. It all has to be solved by a different means, but nobody knows what to do. Some people applied chemical substances in some lakes in the Czech Republic, but the result was really terrible, and it costed a lot of money. So now it is interesting. Companies which purify waters in the lakes, we listened to a presentation about that, but this seems to be a big problem in the Czech Republic because those contracts are for hundreds of millions of Czech crowns, and this lobby of those companies is very strong, and they wouldn't allow any other solutions in the market because they are making loads of money on that. So then we have to fight with, against the red tape, against the bureaucracy. If we compare the situation, the water reservoir in Brno is cleaned for 400 million crowns. We could do it for 10% of the money. Everybody was laughing, and they just kicked us out of the room because they thought it was just impossible to do it for 40 million if other companies offer 380 or 400 million. So we are very happy that we can start the project in Żelivka, which supplies drinking water to the city of Prague. If we complete that successfully, we will have the expected results, and we will be able to convince the public officers that we can do it in this way, that this is possible. We know that cooperation is better than confrontation, but we don't know whether the lobbies and the public officers know the same as we do. Thank you very much for attention.